Austin Cindric will not be suspended. Noah Gragson out means Grant, give me your finger is in. And the championship is back at Phoenix in 2024. This is Stuck in the Catchfence. Thank you, Daryl Waltrip. Let's go racing indeed. This is Stuck in the Catch Fence. I'm your host, Ryan Peters, joined by everybody's favorite football coach, Joe Spillman. Joe, I know the leather will be spinning. You're getting ready to jump right into the football season. How's that going so far?
Oh man, it's going great. We started this week, and I'm really excited to see what is going to come out of Switzerland County football this year. I haven't been this excited in a long time.
Well, I just spent my time driving like I was in NASCAR. My daughter just got done with the game. You gave me a very strict timeline to get here. That's not true at all. My daughter did have a softball game, but so I dressed the part. I just now noticed there's a hole in my shirt. So I mean, I'm pretty much on par with the broadcast, right?
Yeah, it's okay. We're a little late. You got a hole in your shirt. You know, back in the day, you'd only end up with holes in your shirt one way like that. But I know that you're a God. Yeah, you're a God-fearing Christian man, and I know that you are not indulging in any extracurricular activities.
No. This is strictly from just poor quality. So we'll blame Outkick from that. But Joe, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
The Le Mans race has taken place this week, the 24 hours. I told you that I'd like to stream it. You and I just do the straight whole 24 hours, quickly shot down. But I will ask you this. Do you plan on watching any of the 24 hours with Garage 56 involved?
I've already watched a little bit of it. I watched the Pit Crew Challenge that they had, or at least a rerun, I guess, of the Pit Crew Challenge. I don't think I was actually watching it live. It's hard to tell.
It's true.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to watch some of it. I mean, I've never really been into that. I don't think I've ever watched anything but highlights from that or any 24-hour race. But the sheer fact that there is a Chevrolet NASCAR in the 24 hours of Le Mans, at Le Mans, or whatever they call it over there, I'll probably catch as much of it as I can. Yeah.
Will Jimmy Johnson ruin it for everybody else?
Yeah, everybody's still going to hate Jimmy Johnson, but Jenson Button, people like him. So
yes,
yes. Jenson Button is a household name across the rest of the world. Maybe not here in America, and people love that guy. So maybe that'll be a little pick me up for him.
Yeah, so it's first time NASCAR's been involved in the 24-hour Le Mans in quite a while. I think a lot of people thought they were going to show off if they ever decided to go with a hybrid vehicle, and that kind of was not done.
Right.
So it pretty much will look almost exactly like a NASCAR in the 24 hours Le Mans. But I do want to say this. I have a video game that is called Project Cars 2. It's been out for quite a while, and they had a gold achievement, Joe, if you actually completed a 24-hour race. So
well, I'm telling you, the car does look exactly like a NASCAR. I mean, it's got it does have some alterations. I mean, it doesn't look like a car that you would actually see going around the track this weekend, but it's got a little different aero package on it. But essentially, it is a NASCAR, and I know it's probably the best sounding car on the track from what I've seen.
Well, it's by far the sexiest. I mean,
right.
We know that. So
yeah, hands down.
Yeah, so it is exciting to see how and what type of influence NASCAR does have in fronts if they don't surrender by the end of the race. Well, that'll be something that we pay attention to as well.
Right.
The French have been known to quickly give up their assets as soon as they think that, something may happen. So we shall see.
Yeah.
That being said, let's go ahead and jump into some racing in the United States. And Joe, another week, another penalty. Eric Jones was handed a level 1 penalty. He will be fined, I believe it's $75,000.
$75,000.
And docked a few points as if things couldn't go worse. This is a bad week for Legacy Motor Club, as we'll get into his teammate, who will not be racing this week, as you heard in the opening stinger. But Joe, another chance for a penalty, this time a level 1, and similar to the Hendrick penalty, it involves the greenhouse. Do you like so far what you've heard so far, the consistency with NASCAR, where they've handled down these penalties, or has it come to the point where about every Tuesday or Wednesday you're just waiting for the hammer to drop?
Well, I we've kind of beat the horse here with these penalties, and I will say this. I mean, I'm going to stick to what I've been saying. I wish NASCAR would tell me why this gives a competitive advantage. But as we also discussed at length, the rules are in black and white. You can't alter single source parts. You can't alter anything on these vehicles. So you definitely can't counterfeit a part.
That's very much true.
I mean, it is what it is at this point. NASCAR staying consistent with the penalties, and at least we have that.
What I find interesting, Joe, is every time we hear about somebody getting a penalty at the track, that car isn't worth a shit that week. So that is what's blown me away.
I agree. And as a matter of fact, the last time we saw a penalty come out where, the cars were definitely the best cars on the track, is you'd have to go back to Tapegate last year. So,
and that wasn't altering a part. That was just adding a piece of tape to the car.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, NASCAR has been really consistent. They need to stay consistent, obviously. But, we beat this horse literally to death. And here's what it is. Don't alter your single source parts. That's plain and simple. You're gonna lose $75,000. You're gonna lose points. It is what it is.
From what we can tell, adding tape to your vehicle is the best way to get a competitive advantage, because altering these single source parts may just make you worse.
Right.
That's what I'm getting to.
Maybe that's actually the penalty, Ryan. As we sit here and talk, maybe NASCAR doesn't want you altering the parts because your car's just going to turn to shit when you do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they want you to stay competitive, and they're like, if you want to screw up your car, we'll just go ahead and help you and take some money and some points from you.
Yeah, exactly. Quit putting out a shitty product.
Yeah,
Legacy Motor Club.
Yeah, that's a shitty name.
It is. It's a god awful name that deserves another penalty in itself.
Yeah,
but
next year it's going to be Jimmy Johnson Motorsports.
Yeah, with the Toyota. Hell, they might go back to Pontiac the way that they're going right now.
Yeah.
Legacy Motor Club, and our legacy is we're going to bring back the Plymouth.
Yeah, the Bonneville.
That'd be awesome. It fits actually where they are in points.
Do you think if they did bring back the Plymouth, do you think NASCAR would allow that giant wing on the rear of the vehicle?
They did that very shortly. But for Legacy Motor Club, and because Richard Petty's most famous, for having that Plymouth, I think for them, because they could use a competitive advantage, and by far having that 4.5-foot spoiler, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I need something.
I think they should put a roof wing on the top of their car, like a wing sprint car.
Yes, I want everything to look like Fast and Furious 57.
Yeah, me too. I think they should put the exhaust pipes out of the front of the hood, take the louvers out, straight exhaust pipes, straight up and back that throw flames, 4-foot wing on the back, roof sprint car wing. I think really that would probably bring Legacy Motor Club out of the trenches and into the forefront of the NASCAR Cup Series.
Absolutely. Eric Jones pops champagne, celebrates his 15th place victory, and it'll be a great time. But actually, Joe, we were kind of waiting for NASCAR's ruling. Kind of here recently, it's been every time somebody crashes, they should deserve a suspension now.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon was claiming that he was illegally wrecked. I guess that's the right word. Illegally turned.
Yeah.
Right. Left hooked. Right rear quarter pant. Right rear. However you want to put it, because maybe that's just getting the flack off him for being terrible, and that new guy that he helped bring in just got his third win.
Right.
But NASCAR said, not so fast. Actually, Austin Cindric did not illegally turn you, so he was not suspended. Do you think that's the right move by NASCAR by not suspending Austin Cindric, or does he deserve to be parked for a week?
I absolutely do not think Austin Cindric deserves to be parked for a week, or even a suspension should have even been mentioned. Obviously, Austin Dillon was acting like a crybaby little bitch. I think we all know that at this point. He was. It really
All three Austin Dillon fans
we're
just pounded
sorry.
the table.
Yeah, he was acting like a bitch. But I think when we saw Chase Elliott a couple weeks ago, when we saw Bubba Wallace last year, and you go back and you look at all the right hooks, you could tell which ones are intentional. I mean,
right.
Even Chase Elliott a couple weeks ago, I think it was more of a reaction than anything, but it was definitely intentional. I mean, it was, he got pissed off and he did that. And I think it was like, that was more like after it was done, he probably was like, what in the hell did I just do? That was stupid. Austin Cindric this week had no control over that vehicle. That was not intentional at all. It was obvious it wasn't intentional. Austin Dillon was pissed because he was put out of the race and he came out and said some dumb shit. That's all it is. And I think NASCAR kind of viewed it the same way.
Right. And I think the point that you made, Joe, is the most important is intention. And even if Austin Cindric, let's say, went down the track, which I think he did a little bit, and then he had to go to social media because now Denny Hamlin's made it popular to put SMT data on social media to try to claim his innocence or prove his innocence. Yeah, I think everybody watching that goes, Austin Cindric didn't purposely try to turn Austin Dillon. And intent is the biggest factor when it comes to these suspension.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's just a racing incident. It looked like Austin Dillon slightly moved up and Austin Cindric slightly moved down. What's lost in all this is, do either of these drivers deserve a NASCAR ride at this point? I mean, like, this is the most popular energy that they can gain, is claiming one should be suspended. Austin Dillon trying to deflect the fact that he is just absolutely terrible for RCR Motorsports, especially when we just saw a guy like Carson Hocevar, who had the best last place finish
ever
in the last
of all
years.
time. The best last place finish of all time.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on Twitter congratulating you on your last place finish. Meanwhile, Austin Dillon and Austin Cindric are bitching about turning each other and trying to get each other suspended. Austin Cindric, as you know, has family members at Penske. That's probably why he has the ride there. Not probably, actually. And hasn't really done anything outside win the Daytona 500, where his teammate, he wrecked his teammate, Ryan Blaney, to win that. Maybe that's the bigger thing that we should talk about, but maybe deflecting on this and talking about illegally spinning each other deflects on the fact that they're both been very subpar drivers for teams that are doing well.
Well, and both of these drivers have rides because of the people that they know in high places. Very, very reminiscent. Hey, Mr. Paul Menard. Hey, thanks, Grandpa. And that's what both of these drivers are in, that same situation. And you're absolutely right. There's better drivers all over. There's better drivers at your local dirt track on Friday night than Austin Dillon and Austin Cindric. And the fact,
and our dirt track doesn't even race on Friday night.
Right? Yeah. They just have the water truck out there driving around.
Exactly.
Which that guy's incredible because our local dirt track is banked like that. And I did see a gator flip over there last year, but yeah. Anyway, at the end of the day, that's what the height of their career is going to be. Austin Dillon, much like Bubba Wallace, even though Bubba Wallace has competed well, both of these drivers are drivers that are never going to win a championship. They're never going to win multiple races in a season. I won't say that. They, one of them could get lucky, but at the end of the day, I look at these drivers like an Austin Cindric and Austin Dillon. They're drivers that may win at a super speedway if they get lucky. Outside of that, they're not going to be competitive race car drivers, and we've already seen that over their career.
Mid-show trivia, Joe.
Okay.
Which crew chief in the last 365 days has the most wins in NASCAR.
Whew. It's got to be Kyle Busch's.
Randall Burnett has 6 wins in the last 365 days.
Hey.
He just won at his home track.
Hey.
Just wanted to see if you at home also knew that as well. I don't think that we talk a lot about that moving forward and using it with 2 different drivers. And I think that also shows a light of just how bad Austin Dillon really has been so far this year, and Austin Cindric as well. Those drivers, I think RCR, I don't know if you would call it a prime ride now. I mean, we definitely pooped on them quite a bit last year when they were losing Tyler Reddick. Granted, if you would have told me when Tyler Reddick was leaving 2311, which was pretty early last year, that RCR would gain Kyle Busch in that trade, we would have said you're a psychopath, discredited everything that you've ever said in your entire life, and your family would have not invited you to Christmas. So quite the change there for RCR. But again, Austin Cindric will not be suspended. And we mentioned it a little bit ago, but moving forward, Noah Gragson will not be at the race this weekend in Sonoma, formerly Infineon, formerly Sears Point, because we have to go through 40,000 names for the road course that is in, well, as Joe calls it, the hell of the West.
It is.
The state of California.
Yeah.
But Noah Gragson out this week. If you are just now tuning in and did not get to watch the race at WWT Raceway, formerly known as Gateway, I'm sick. Can we stop? Can we just call it what it is? Just where is it located? We don't need Kentucky Speedway to be called freaking Loves.
Yeah.
The Loves Motor Speedway. They might actually still be racing there if it was called something like that. But nonetheless, let's just call, where's it located? That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
Phoenix, they tried to go with IMS. That was dumb. But no, Noah Gragson's out, going back to that, because brake calipers had an issue this week. Exploded. Saw one guy got hit in the chest.
Yeah.
By Noah Gragson's exploded brake caliper.
Right.
But Joe, does that concern you that we now have another driver missing because of an injury?
He hit hard. I'm having those mini strokes again.
You try to put like 3 sentences into like 2 words.
Yeah, my brain's going way too fast for my mouth. Anyway, which isn't normally the case. I said during our live stream that he looked very concussed when he was out, giving his interview, and I think it was pretty obvious. Obviously, he took a hard hit. It concerns me to the point that, NASCAR should know the race and development of these cars. They should be at a point where they can understand where the faults are going to be in these cars. We saw the same thing at Bristol last year when we saw mechanical issues on short tracks. Actually, the very first time we saw these cars out in that hellhole of California, Los Angeles, for the what do they call that thing?
The Clash.
Yeah, the Clash. The very first time we saw these cars, we saw overheating issues. Of course, everybody chalked that up. It's a quarter-mile track. It's not a real racetrack. You can't really judge it off off that. But as we move forward and we see these different track styles, right? I mean, what we saw this past weekend was a 1.25-mile track with hardly any banking. Unlike Darlington, that has the big banking or the steep banking, it's a little bit easier on the brakes coming out of the turns. These drivers really had to work the brakes, especially in 1 and 2, I believe. That's the short turn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we saw massive problems with brake rotors and calipers this week. And NASCAR should already know that going into these races. And the last thing that should be happening is an unsafe situation caused by the development of the cars. And last year we understood. I mean, Kurt Busch is still out because of a unforeseen problem that that NASCAR either hid or did not address, with the idea that, yeah, these cars are going to be more sturdy, but no longer is the energy going to be dispersed from these cars. So every time they tap the safer barrier wall, it's going to knock the shit out of the drivers, and for whatever reason, the rotors, the brakes, the wheels on these cars are bigger. And obviously, it had to be an issue with the rotors heating up and the calipers heating up at this track because of no bang. Well, we see 5 cars just explode. Four cars just explode their rotors and their calipers right off their damn car and hit the wall. Why doesn't NASCAR know that to begin with? How do you develop a car and not know every little interest? How do you not know everything about the damn car before you put it out there on the track? And this car was already 2 years behind. And I think being into the second season with this car, we are really starting to see why maybe this car didn't make its deadline in the first place. And maybe should we start talking about, hey, it's time to scrap this car. We've killed short track racing. Super speedway, nobody's locking up. You kind of killed the draft at the super speedway, the side drafts at the super speedway. The only thing this car is good for is 1.5 mile racing right now. And to be honest with you, you've killed everything else. I mean, we've had some road courses that were really great, but we've had some really bad road courses too. And we'll see what happens again this weekend. So I think really NASCAR needs to start looking, is it time to scrap this idea that we were going to create this new car and it was going to be the end all be all, because all it is the end all be all for 1.5 mile tracks.
To answer that question, that's not going to happen.
Oh, I know that.
I think, Joe, the next generation of vehicle that we see in NASCAR will be a hybrid. I fully believe that that's probably going to be happening. All the other motorsports are running hybrid engines. I think NASCAR will be the next application of the hybrid engine. As a quick answer to, which I think or feel the same way as well, that they're not going to scrap it anytime soon. I know the car tomorrow went through a lot of changes, especially with the splitter. We had that big wing that you were talking about, the Fast and Furious wing on the car tomorrow, and then after a while they decided to scrap that. So I think there's adjustments that can be made. I will say this: I'm glad they're being proactive. One of the things that they came out with just today was the fact that the side wall on the, I guess you would call it the passenger side, completely re-strengthened and reinforced due to your favorite driver being speared by Chris Buescher. So I'm glad to see that they're being proactive. The thing that you don't like to see, Joe, is in what we consider the best motorsport in the United States, the highest competition of motorsports in the United States, is that your brakes fail. I've never heard of such a thing. And it's not just a failure of like, you don't have brake fluid, so therefore the brakes get soft and you can't predict it coming. The literal rotor broke. I mean, it shattered. It literally went into the stands, and now you're two-folding. Your single source part is failing, and your car is failing to protect the driver after your part failed. So that's 2 different things. It's easier to fix one thing, which they're doing with the car. I think the more and more we see the information about this car, it will be safer. Unfortunately, people have to suffer until those weaknesses are found. And we've seen that now with Noah Gragson. And unfortunately, we've seen that with, as you mentioned, Kurt Busch, who still has not returned to racing in almost a year. I mean, we're coming up on Pocono, which will be the anniversary of that.
So my question is, and maybe you have the answer to this, I certainly do not. Why didn't we see this problem last year? Is there a quality control issue with the single source part that we saw this weekend in the calipers and the rotors on the cars?
We had a brake issue at Bristol.
Right.
And we just chalked, and it was a Toyota thing. Bubba Wallace's brakes failed at Bristol. Martin Truex's brake failed at Bristol. So one thing, Joe, that we haven't alluded to enough, a lot of these things would have been found out if we had more practice. Mm-hmm. If we had practice and happy hour where these cars were on the track for 4 hours, because that used to be the norm. I mean, you used to have a 2-hour practice and then a 90-minute happy hour plus qualifying. These things would have been found out a long time ago. Mm. Now they're given 20 minutes. You went from 4 hours to 20 minutes, And unfortunately, the race gets to be the experiment of what happens to your vehicle versus practice, because in practice, as you would know, Joe, you got a backup car, you go back to it. NASCAR can go, hey, it looks like we're having an issue with these things right here. Things can be made, things can be adjusted. The way you tune the cars, the downforce you're putting on it to emphasize on those front rotors, things of that nature, you can change. But now, Joe, the experiment is the race. And it's too late to find out by then. Once Carson Hocevar's brakes go out, now it looks like everybody's down the garage going, oh, shit. I hope that doesn't happen to us. And, 4 out of 36 cars, is that just an anomaly based upon the 4 cars? I don't really know. I don't think anybody really knows. I'm just glad it wasn't to the point where, we had like 10 tire failures. But at the end of the day, you compound 2 problems when you have a single source part fail, and then the driver is not safe when he's wrecking because of that single source part failure as well.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. I don't really think that you could call this an anomaly when I think that's a pretty large portion size when you're talking about a 36 car race and 4 of them go out. And when you're talking about different manufacturers and it's all the single source part on each one of these cars, the rotors aren't different on these cars,
right.
Due to the manufacturer. So I think it's not an anomaly. Anytime you have 4 cars in the same race, do the same thing. When you go to a track like the Monster Mile and you see tires, those Goodyear tires just coming apart, that's not an anomaly. It's because of the product that Goodyear was putting out, which and I'm not dogging on them because they've actually been Goodyear. The tires have been spectacular this year compared to the last several years. So
almost too good.
Almost too good. And and heaven forbid, if you're at a race and you're cheering on your favorite driver, don't make the comment, hey, tires have been really good this year, because on the next lap, a tire will blow and your driver will be taken out.
Literally the only time I can remember the entire year, a tire actually just failing, and it was right after you said that.
At Atlanta, Kyle Larson, great run.
Right in front of us.
Right in front of us. I said, man, Ryan, tires are really holding up this year. Next lap. Kyle Larson into the wall.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Eric Almirola.
Yeah, you dumbass.
That's what you get for running up front one time this entire year. Kind of want to go with the trend. Now we get to see a new driver into a new role with Grant Enfinger. Do you have an expectations? I know you watched the Truck Series. You mentioned Grant Enfinger just last week on our checking down on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
What's your expectations with Grant Enfinger? Was we were given 2 different scenarios last week where Carson Hocevar exponentially went up on his, and then unfortunately Corey LaJoie, for all intents and purposes, shit the bed.
Yeah, Corey LaJoie is going to find himself back in a lower circuit next year. I can guarantee it, or he should. Are you frozen? You look frozen.
No.
No.
Maybe you should just let it go.
Yeah, let it go. Anyway, that's ridiculous. Hey, we got a comment from Willow Spicewood.
Is that a porn name?
I don't know.
That's like a tree and
it could be.
Okay.
Says I was listening to team radio and the drivers had control of brake cooling fans. The ones that broke didn't have the fans on. Hey, that's a good point.
I heard that as well, that drivers were told to put their brake cooling fans on after the fact that they said their brakes were becoming quote unquote soft. Carson Hocevar said his brakes were becoming soft, and there was another driver, or the brake pedal was becoming soft. We were doing the live stream, so forgive us because we were on air for Joe, 6.5 hours.
Yeah, it was a long time.
And we call it beers and burnouts. And so we also do partake in extracurriculars while doing that. And so I do remember that. So I'm glad that Willow brought that up. But it sounded like the guys that did put their brake fans on were too late. And it was really, really hot. Probably the hottest the race has been all year. But yeah, that's a great point, Willow, and we do appreciate your comment.
Yeah. He also says, and I think he's talking about what you just brought up. What do you expect out of Enfinger? And, he says any driver coming to the next gen will be running behind. And I would tend to agree with that, except what we saw out of Hocevar this past weekend. I mean, he absolutely tore it up. And I don't know what to expect out of Enfinger. He very well he could get in this next gen car and absolutely shit the bed with it, or he could run away with it like Hocevar. I'm telling you, I made this comment. I don't remember in one of our shows or in our live stream that there is some incredible talent in that truck series right now, and it's actually been the most competitive, exciting series NASCAR has. That you see a weekly basis. So, right now, I don't know what to expect about any of these drivers coming up and racing in this. There are several names in the truck series that are going to be making huge names for themselves in the next couple of years.
I think it's interesting to see that Grant Enfinger was the one chosen because we've been seeing a lot of younger drivers getting the call here recently.
Mm-hmm.
And Enfinger's 38 years old, so I'd say an elder statesman in the truck series. I think that would be appropriate. So the only thing I could think, Joe, is they said, "Hey, we got a ride available at Cup," and like 45 people like get on the phone and like, "Hell yeah, what is it?" Legacy Motor Club. Oh, I actually got something going on Sunday. A bar mitzvah,
Yeah.
I think. So I'm gonna have to pass.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not the team. That's not the team you want to jump in with to get your name out there. That's for sure. So,
yeah, we've had Hendrick rides literally the entire year, and now the 42 opens up, and they're like, I'm going to prepare for jury duty on that day, so I can't.
Yeah,
that's just
I'm
awaiting
awaiting a colonoscopy.
I'm drinking the fluid that day, the Go Juice, and why are you doing it a day early? So I don't have to put up with your shit. I'm just going to put up with my own.
Right, exactly. I don't know. You know what Legacy Motor Club could start doing? They could start raffling off, like be a NASCAR driver for a weekend.
Oh my God. Pros versus Joes type deal.
Yeah. I mean, they can't do any worse, right?
I thought that's what they called it, the Richard Petty experience, because you get to actually drive one of his cars.
And I hope nobody from Legacy Motor Club listens to this because they're a bunch of dumbasses. They're going to, they might be onto something. Hey, this guy made it 3/4 of a lap without killing himself this week. Last guy only made it on the first turn.
That's true. Hey, I can drive into the wall as well.
And me too. I could wreck with the best of them.
Exactly. The last piece of news, Joe, we have before making our predictions for Sonoma or Sears Point or Infineon or whatever else you want to call it. Is that they announced, and this made me sad, I'll be honest with you, that the championship race for 2024 is going back to Phoenix. I am a proverbial, I don't like Phoenix. Let's just put it that way. I'm not a fan of Phoenix. I think the landscaping's nice. The fans come out to support.
It's a boring track, Bob.
Yeah, it's just been a bad track. And I think it doesn't matter if it's been the next gen car or not. It's just not been a good track for the championship race. I don't know why we changed it from Homestead, other than the fact that they did some stuff to Phoenix. Homestead just seemed like the perfect place to have it. It's in Florida. It's going to be warm. And more importantly, the on-track product was always a really, really good race because you essentially can drive in 4 different lanes. And at Phoenix, if you don't have a good pit stop, it doesn't matter how good your car is because you can't pass.
Yeah. Phoenix is one of the worst racetracks in NASCAR. I think the powers that be, I envision a conference room somewhere, probably at Texas Motor Speedway, maybe at Phoenix, or whatever other boring track, Martinsville here lately, maybe at Martinsville, some conference room somewhere. And it's like a bunch of old men sitting around a table, smoking a pipe going, what do you think we could do to piss off everybody next year? And then one of them goes, well, you move the championship race back to Phoenix. And everybody's like, yeah. And then they announce it. And every NASCAR fan's like, what?
Yeah.
That's what I did when I heard that. It's like, why? Why are you going back to Phoenix? It's Phoenix. Have you ever heard one person say, Ryan, in your entire life, and you just had a birthday, but I would call you in your mid-30s now. Have you ever heard one person in your entire life say, hey, you remember that great time we had in Phoenix?
Actually, my favorite trip I've ever had was in Phoenix.
Ah, fuck it.
It was for spring training, but that was a totally different.
Let's go to Phoenix and party.
Yeah. I mean, race wise, I've not heard anybody say anything good about Phoenix other than it's really cool track. But really cool track doesn't change the fact that you want your last race, Joe, where you have now made this the finale. You've made it all the way to this point that 4 drivers are going to race for a championship. And this last race / track should encapsulate the entire season to where everybody has an opportunity to win this race because you've made it to the point that everything is on a level playing field for the finale. And you go to a track where you can't pass. And if you have one slip up in pit road, you're fucked. And I just think that's just the absolute stupidest thing that you could do to then make Phoenix that grand. I could see Bristol being more of a track that you could understand going to the last race or anything. I mean, there's just so many different tracks out there besides Phoenix.
I agree. And I don't know if you want to address that comment or not about Greg Zipadelli, but at the end of the day, I kind of feel, and you're right, Miami or Homestead Miami Speedway was a great place to have the championship race. But I really think, why isn't the championship race a race where all the variables come into play, literally a race that anybody can win? Why are we not having it on a super speedway? Honestly, why is the championship race not at a super speedway?
Super speedway?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. The most unpredictable racetrack?
Exactly. The most difficult races to win are at super speedways.
It's not the most difficult. It's the most unpredictable.
It is difficult. That's what makes it. That's what makes it.
You know how boring that'd be? I literally bet all the other drivers would get out of the way and just let the 4 drivers drive in a straight line. I bet that's what would happen.
And you're probably right. But at the end of the day, I mean, what you got to have it somewhere exciting. Super speedways are exciting.
We did. We had it at Homestead.
Yeah. I don't know why you ever deviate to that. And I don't know why you take it to a track like Phoenix that is about one of the most boring races you could watch all year. So
Willow, I did not hear that, but that makes a lot of sense why Greg Zipadelli would move out of the vice president role to come down at the track, because Cole Custer is the only thing at Stewart-Haas that actually has a chance of winning. So it makes sense that he would go support Cole Custer, try to be there on top of the box, and then make an early flight home so he doesn't have to watch the Sunday race. Am I wrong? Jeff Gordon?
Yeah. No.
He agrees. I don't. He agrees.
Yeah, he did.
Sorry.
Why you got a bobblehead of Jeff Gordon?
Well, we're gonna do a video of this when it opens, but in Switzerland, here in Beebe, Indiana, we have a curator opening a museum for motorsports.
Yes.
And I got to take an early tour. Actually, I kind of trespassed and just walked in because the door was cracked. And for my trespassing, I got a Brickyard Jeff Gordon bobblehead.
Oh, did he give me one?
So anyway, Joe, whenever you go there, we were going to actually in the future shoot a video.
Yeah, we should. We need to actually have him on.
Yeah, he will be. He will be. I got all of his information, and he said in the future he would love to do that. They're still working on a lot of stuff. They have a lot of rollers. They do complete piece by piece reincarnation of the cars that won said races. So Jeff Gordon has a car there that won the Brickyard, the 2014 Brickyard.
Mm-hmm.
And also Jimmy Johnson has a car there. And then they have a ton of open wheel cars too.
Yeah.
They just sent off Al Unser's car to the Indy 500, obviously a few weekends ago, so that it could be started up there during the Indy 500 week. So
Yeah. And I've actually seen that car. It's pretty cherry. It's fun to look at.
That same car that you saw that was sent
Yeah.
to the Indianapolis 500, he is the one that actually remade that vehicle.
There might be a few pictures of some people in that car late at night when they weren't supposed to be, and actually one person may have got stuck in that car. Yeah, they probably should have wheeled that out of there before people started drinking. But it is what it is.
He actually told me, because I told my son, don't step on the wing. He goes, you'd be very surprised how heavy of an impact that wing could take. It won't hurt you to step on it. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So
Yeah.
I cannot afford that bill.
Yes.
But we've made it this far. We are now towards the end where we talk about the race at B. It will be Sonoma. Joe, more importantly for you, it will be the last Fox broadcast of the year.
Thank God. Thank God. They're terrible. They're terrible.
And we do get a bye week after this week. So soak it up. Soak up the last NASCAR race. There is no race on Father's Day. Oddly enough, that's exactly when I'm going on vacation as well. So we got lucky with that.
Where are we going?
We?
Yeah.
Did you say we?
Am I not invited?
I don't know where. No, hell no. You're not invited. Good God. I mean, we have to do this together and we can't even be in the same room for it.
Yeah, that's because of COVID.
No, it's because you got monkeypox. And I'm not catching that shit again. So we're going to Sonoma, where we will be taking left and right turns. Last year, amigo Daniel Suarez got his one and only victory of his career here at Sonoma. Joe, what are you expecting from the road course this year?
The same thing I expect at Sonoma and any road course ever. I have no idea. You have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, even the drivers that are typically great at road courses, I mean, we've seen it. Teams have missed the mark, and that goes back to there's just no practice. So it's a crapshoot on how well these cars are going to be set up. They set them up well to qualify, and then they go and mess with them, and not the same cars that come out on race day. I just have no idea. I mean, typically you would say Chase Elliott's coming back this week. You'd always put him up there, but who knows? He's kind of been running like shit, so who knows where he's going to be. I expect Kyle Larson to compete well as long as Hendrick gets their car set up right. I expect William Byron probably to maybe make a go at it. He typically doesn't do well on road courses, but
right.
He's been running lights out. So, Kyle Busch is ran well on road courses lately, and we'll have to see where Hendrick is with their cars. I mean, it's a crapshoot. When you look at the different tracks every year and you pick out certain tracks, I always pick out super speedways and the road courses and say literally anybody can win here. And that's the thing about a road course is I won't go as far as saying a Rick Ware racing team could win at a road course.
Yeah,
but damn near,
you. Yes.
Yeah, but damn near Rick Ware Racing could win at a road course. Not saying that they can.
I might fight you just for saying that.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's true.
There might be. My other question to you, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit there in your summary or preview, I guess, not summary. How important is this for Chase Elliott? I mean, because he has been shit.
He's got to get a win.
You mentioned shit. He has been shit. He has to get a win. He has, I think, 10 races left, 10 or 11 races left. Has not been fast. Has not looked fast. And, essentially has lost his road course crown to what I think would be the driver you didn't mention, Tyler Reddick, who has been dominant here recently on road courses. To me, if I'm Chase Elliott, I think this might be the most pressure he's had in a very long time. Because like you said, Joe, he can't just point his way moving forward. His suspension pretty much guaranteed that. He has to get a win. And right now, he might be the slowest car for Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, he is the slowest car for Hendrick Motorsports right now. I don't know. I don't know what his issue is. I mean, I wouldn't think that he would still be, his injury would still be affecting him. Maybe it is. Maybe he came back a little bit too early and it hurts to drive. I just don't know. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's got to get his head out of his ass. And really, this is one of the best places that he can do it. He should be. He was crowned a couple of years ago as the road course king in NASCAR. I think that was a little bit premature, obviously, over what we've seen the last couple of years or last year. But he's got to compete for a win this week because he's got to get a win. I mean, he's running out of time.
And again, this will be the second road course where we don't see stages for breaks. We will have the stage wins and keep green flag racing. And I thought that worked absolutely tremendous at COTA. So that was a breath of fresh air versus watching 13 laps and then watching a 30-minute 3-lap.
Well, and that was, that was a rule that needed to be changed because last year in every road course, we saw the best car have to decide, are we going to get stage points or are we going to win this race? And you should not have to do that at a road course. And that was a great rule change. I'll add that. So,
right. So now let's get to the part where Joe doesn't want to talk. And that is where we are in points on the season. Joe, you actually had a really good week last week. You scored 7 points.
Yeah.
You've had 2 points from Joey Logano. You had 2 points from Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson and 1 point from William Byron. So that got you to 7. So you scored on 4 of your 5. The one you didn't score on was the one below 20, which makes sense. That is a tougher one to score on. I, however, scored 8 points because I chose the guy that you said did not have a chance to win. And, he got me 5 points.
I didn't say he didn't have a chance to win. I just
you said that he's been very terrible.
Well, he had been very terrible at short tracks, and I said WWT was gonna race like a short track, and it did. They just figured something out. So whatever, man. I missed that one.
I just have a chance to bring it up, and you're normally right about it. So, So I currently sit at 85 points, and you are at 61.
Mm-hmm.
You need to use a few of your lifelines here. So these are very, very important. Willow, Spicewood, Dirty Wood, like to grab wood.
Willow, Spicewood. Give us your 5 drivers for this week.
If you want to play fair like we do, you can use a driver outside the top 20. But if you actually want to compete with me, then you can use whatever drivers you want.
Right.
So, Joe, would you like me to go first or would you like to go first?
I don't care. You do what you're hosting this show. You do what you want to do.
Okay, I'll go first. And again, preface this by saying we do not know any of each other's picks. So if we choose the same people, that's on us. Let me go ahead and get a shitty driver out of the way. Chase Briscoe.
That's dumb.
I like Chase on road courses. Last year, you gave me hell about using Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe. It was this exact course last year. You told me I got 5 extra bonus points if Chase Briscoe finished in the top 10, and he did. And some people don't forget those things, which means he will DNF. So I'm still going to go back to him. I will choose Chase Briscoe. That would easily be my driver outside the top 20, but I actually have 2 because, like you said, Joe, road courses are a different animal than most races. I'm also going to go with the dinger. Anytime we have left and right turns, you got to go to the dinger. Especially in Xfinity race. Pro tip, might as well, if Allmendinger is racing in the Xfinity race, just bet him to win because he typically does. I will then go Tyler Reddick, the guy who's been winning the most road courses here recently, just won at COTA. I will go Kyle Busch, who finished just behind Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Busch, after breaking his leg in 2015, both legs, ended up with his first victory here. So maybe Chase Elliott can summon that spirit.
That's not true.
What?
Kyle Busch won here pre-2010. Google it.
he won his first race here after breaking his legs.
Oh, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, I was wrong.
You don't. It's like you don't listen to me.
My
really
bad.
hurts.
My bad. I thought you said he won his first race here, and that's not true.
That would be incorrect. You're right.
Yeah.
He won his first race after breaking his legs, which then led me to the point that Chase Elliott had broken his legs and maybe had broken his leg, and maybe he could summon the energy from Kyle Busch breaking his legs and win his first race at Sonoma. But you ruined it because you tried to fact check me.
That's my bad.
Whatever. I'm going to subpoena you.
That's my bad. What?
Something penis. Anyway, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, AJ Allmendinger, and the last one I think has been the best road course racer recently, at least consistency for Hendrick. I'm going to go Alex Bowman.
Ooh, nice.
So I think we'll have a little bit of some variance there.
Well, those aren't bad picks. Willow gave us his picks. He's going to go with Buescher, McDowell, Elliott, Reddick, and Harvick.
Oh, that's a good. Buescher and McDowell were really, really good here last year, Willow. That's a really good group of people. Unfortunately, it'll still be behind me, but I do like that. I'm going to write those down in the notes. So whenever you tune in next week, Willow, I will make sure I put those in, and you can see how you did against us. And then if you do better than us, then I just won't say them on air.
No, you can't. You can't say them on air.
All right.
Thank you, Willow, for giving us your picks. We always like to compete against whoever's watching. It's a pretty fun time. If anybody else wants to leave their comments of who your drivers are, if you watch this later, leave your comment what drivers you have this week, and we'll put you up, see how you do against us.
If he does better than us, do you think he'll start his own YouTube?
He should. Channel? He might already have his own YouTube channel.
He might have an OnlyFans.
Maybe. I have an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Except I don't have any fans.
Yeah. With Spice Wood. I mean.
Yeah. Hey.
Come on.
Anyway. I cannot believe that you did not take Martin Truex Jr.
I haven't taken Martin Truex burned me a lot last year, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I haven't been able to let go of that energy, but I'm also winning a lot, so I just haven't had the need to pick him.
Well, as I that I like past winners, and that's been burning me a lot, but typically they're pretty on par, usually, unless there's an issue, a mechanical issue, a driver wrecks out. Past winners usually compete very well the next time they go back to that track for their career. So I think Martin Truex, I know he's got at least 2 wins. I think maybe 3 at this track.
This is where he had the big win after his former girlfriend, Sherry, had her cancer treatment finished up, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he won here in back-to-back years. I think he won one other time. Of course, Kyle Larson, I think his last road course, I'm going to take him, obviously. I think his last road course win was here a couple of years ago.
I thought that him almost wrecking Chase Elliott at Watkins Glen last year was his last road course win.
It is.
Don't you remember? Chase Elliott was really pissed off.
Yeah. You're right. I forgot about that. Anyway, Larson's won here 2 years ago, so I'm going to take him. Kevin Harvick, I really every week I'm kind of, especially if he's a past winner at a track, which he is. I believe Harvick has a win here. I think that he's going to get a win, and I think a road course is a good place for him to do it. I'm going to go with Kyle Busch as well.
That means he'll suck this week. Son of a bitch.
Probably. I probably shouldn't take him. And then, obviously, outside the top 20, I'm going to go with the Dinger.
Oh, yeah. Dinger. Man, I'll be honest. Willow's got me thinking twice here with how good Buescher. I believe Buescher finished third here. Right? If I'm going off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure he finished third here, second or third. And Michael McDowell was really good here too. And that bothers me when you think about that secondhand.
Michael McDowell was good here last year.
I'm almost positive. Let me fact check it real quick. Sonoma 2022. See, we can do this because we're doing this live, and we can do that results.
Yeah, we're normally pretty on par with our stats.
But we are human. Michael McDowell got here third last year. Chris Buescher got second.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, that was a shit show of a race last year. Then Austin Cindric finished. Austin Cindric finished fifth.
He was the one. Yes, I mixed it up. I said Chase Briscoe was the one that I got points for. It was Cindric, so I'll probably get screwed in that one. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Chase Briscoe ended up 13th.
Either
I know
way,
he's decent
either way.
at road courses.
Harvick finished fourth here last year, so hopefully he comes out. Hopefully I get some points. I'll probably be taking him in fantasy this week too.
Nobody took Daniel Suarez, even though he won here.
Why would
year.
you? Nobody likes that guy anymore.
But that's true. Kyle Busch fans don't. I've never. The board's over there, Joe. Still just sitting there. Ryan shitless. Twice on there, Daniel Suarez.
That's it. That's the only person that's made it. Is Bubba up there yet?
Bubba hasn't been on there. I know yours has Ryan Preece.
Yes.
Haven't let that one go.
No.
Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's on yours.
Always, continually. Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, and your number one in your heart says JJ Yeley.
JJ Yeley's my guy.
Well, Joe, do you have anything else while I reach for the checkered flag?
I don't, man. Great show. Hopefully maybe this weekend we could liven it up a little bit. Maybe we could do a live stream or two this weekend. Who knows?
Yeah. Do you think you can actually do your job and put out a decent short?
I can.
I was sitting on pins and needles today, waiting for a great short, and it never delivered.
That's my bad. I set it to upload and play out, and I leave for work, and then you text me and was like, "Hey, the short's not up," and I get on, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, it's not. I have no idea." And I came home, and I never started the upload process. Apparently,
that's a level 1 penalty on stuck in the catch fence, and you just had a 25% reduction of your salary.
Oh God. Well, guess I don't get to eat cookies this weekend.
Yeah. Back to making what you were making.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for us. We're going to, like you said, try to get to you with a live stream, at least one of the races this weekend. So tune in for that. My name is Ryan Peters, Joe Spillman. Oh yeah, you got to say it. You got
to tickle the subscribe button.
That's right. Hit the subscribe button. Have a chance to win a diecast car. It's been stuck in the catch fence.